Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
All right. Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Tracey Shaw Frost with me here today. Tracey is the president of Smart Document Solutions. Welcome to the show, Tracey.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So we talked before the show a little bit about the background. If you don't mind, can you share a little bit more about how you got into the document space? It seemed like it's a family tradition.
It is a family tradition. I think I am probably the fifth person in my family to sell Xerox machines because my aunt did it, my uncle did it, my cousin did it, my mom did it, my other uncle did it. My entire family had been in sales, or at least started somewhere selling copiers at some point in their career, even if they had now moved on to doing other things.
Right.
But
You're also unique in the sense that currently there's not a lot of locally owned vendors.
Correct. So when I started, there was about 8 other Xerox. I'm a Xerox authorized sales agent, so I represent Xerox directly, and I'm a mono-branded partner, which means Xerox has several different programs that are their routes to market, where they have like resellers, where people just kind of, buy a set amount of Xerox machines and they resell them on their own. I represent Xerox directly, so I can sell the full breadth of Xerox products, like the very biggest machines they make, the big Iridesks, which are like 54-foot long printers that people that print for a living use, or people are printing, tons of, you're in real estate, a lot of like real estate flyers or things that people are doing thousands and thousands and thousands of. We sell those kind of machines all the way down to like the little ones behind me that are, $200. So we represent the full breadth and width of Xerox technology, which is unique because not everybody has access to that. Not all the vendors have that ability. Because we're partnered with Xerox directly, we have that. It's been, I was just telling you a little bit of the industry has been consolidating, and in Arizona in particular, I think when I started,
like a number of industries right now, private equity comes in and is buying up different ones.
Yes, private equity is coming in and buying all the biggest, most profitable companies and kind of putting them into these big conglomerates, which is super smart because they leverage their buying power. So, they buy the most amount of whatever kind of copiers they're selling, and then they can sell them for the best price. But what I think they lose in is the ability to have local customer service. And so when those big companies consolidate, then they start outsourcing their call centers to, offshore vendors, or they start outsourcing their billing to other vendors. And you just kind of lose that customer service piece because they're such a big, they're only looking at their margins. They're only looking at their share price. They're not looking at, is my customer having a good experience?
Quality
is my
goes down.
Happy? Would my customer want to buy from me again? And I think it's a slow burn where they kind of buy up all these customers and build up a big base, but then they lose them because they aren't taking care of them. And I think that's where we kind of, our niche still is that we have our local call center is our lady down here on 40th Street in Palm Lane, that she answers the phone. Everybody gets a live person on the phone. We really care about if our customers are getting a timely service response. We know that, and even in your industry, if you can't print your contract, if you can't get it
your
printed,
livelihood.
You're losing money. Yeah. And everybody's like that, like accountants, lawyers. Everybody who needs their printer, nobody cares about it until it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, it's like 911 emergency, come fix my copier right now. And you're like, well, we haven't heard from you in a year. We don't care. We need to fix our copier now. And so I think our ability to be local and fast and responsive, and we keep a stock of stuff in the office. Our service techs all drive around in their cars with a big parts drop. It's still like a locally owned experience, even though we're backed by Xerox Corporation. So we get all our parts directly from Xerox, all our toner directly from Xerox. All of that stuff is pretty uniform, but it's our local ability. And like I said, I've lived here my entire life. I grew up in Flagstaff and then moved to Mesa and lived in Phoenix literally my entire life. So I do business with people that I have known since I was 14 years old. One of my friends from junior high school owns an IT company, and we send business to each other back and forth. I have tons of friends that own real estate brokerages and just that I grew up with. And it's I think Phoenix has become an extremely large city, but we're still kind of a small town vibe. I mean, you can still go out to dinner and run into somebody that your kids went to
Right.
grade school with, and everybody has their little micro communities inside their
Sure.
area. But I think that's really where we have an advantage is that our customers, I mean, we have customers that we have had, our business started in 1988 and I bought it in 2009 and we have customers that we've had since 1988. And I don't think that's very common in this industry. I think a lot of people go with a vendor because they have the cheapest price. Like, oh, we're just going to buy that copier because it's the cheapest thing we can find. And then they're miserable and they hate it. And then that's when we come in and go, well, look, it could be like this, where you could actually enjoy the experience and like the people you work with and enjoy the service technician and have us come out and take care of you immediately, And so I think it's difficult because especially in this day and age where people can go on the internet and just do all their research, look it up, and people just call us and go, okay, well, I looked at your website, I see this machine, I want to buy that. And you're like, okay, well, how do we even know if that's the best one for you? Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to? And they're like, well, how do you know I want this? And where we try to be more consultative, where we're going to go, well, what are your needs? What are you trying to do? What's a problem in your business that you're facing? Like maybe for you, if you're going out and taking pictures of homes that you're viewing or like an investment property that you're looking at buying, and you want to get those pictures to another real estate person, or if you need to upload them, or if you need to scan things or print from your phone, nobody just sits at a desk and works anymore. Like everybody's out doing things remotely and trying to do things in the cloud. And I think that Xerox has done a really good job of keeping our solutions just like a step ahead of that technology. In fact, I would even almost venture to say that Xerox is a little bit aggressive where they come out with something they're like, this is going to be great. And then a year later, you're like, okay, now it's great.
Because the marketplace wasn't ready.
Yeah, they just get a little ahead of themselves going, well, this is great, this is great. And I actually kind of admire that because it is a little bit risky, but I think it is more important to be cutting edge and to be riding that wave of technology rather than to be behind the eight ball and go, oh, well, maybe we'll come out with a solution like that in 3 years or something,
Right.
And
lose market share.
Yeah, and I have a choice as a vendor. I don't have to sell Xerox machines. I could stop selling Xerox machines and pick a different vendor. There's lots of vendors out there. I like Xerox because, my family sold Xerox and they're, an American business. And I still think there's value in being an American business and a locally owned vendor. I mean, now it's difficult to find a local shop. You need to go buy a pair of shoes. Like, where are you going to go? I used to take my kids to Stride Rite at the mall, and there's not a Stride Rite store anywhere near me now. You can't buy even kids' shoes. Like, where do you go to try on clothes? Nobody does it. You just buy it on the internet and you ship it back for free. And I'm actually a little concerned in our lives how we're losing that ability to do stuff locally. I mean, everything comes from somewhere far away, and it's a little scary, I think. Which the AI thing too. Oh my gosh, all the copiers are full of AI now. You walk up to the copier and it's like, oh, yesterday at this time you scanned in this document. You want to do that again? You're like, how do you know? How do you know who I am? It's like,
right.
Especially with your neuroscience background like that, those little AI things that are trying to be human brains are a little bit terrifying for me. But it's big in our industry. I mean, so many times people are like, hey, I have to scan in all these documents. It's full of data that I need to archive and store. Where am I going to put it? Where am I going to do it? Am I going to pay somebody to go through the spreadsheet line by line by line? No, you're going to make a bot and have a little AI guy go through it and do it, and save yourself a ton of time. But I think with the industry consolidation, it becomes more and more and more important to have an option to go local, to have a family-owned business, to be able to support people locally. And especially, I don't want to talk about politics at all, but with whatever's going on in the political environment now is going to make it difficult to import things, I think. So I think it's definitely important to have a locally owned option.
Right. Yeah. Well, COVID also gave us a reminder of that too, being able to bring things onshore, have quite the same supply chain issues.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's difficult because when you get down to the very nitty gritty of the supply chain issues, it's like, well, okay, but we don't have barium in the ground or whatever chemical they need. You have to get that from somewhere else. So then you're limited to, just resources in America. And it's like, well, we need resources from other places, and it's impossible to not have a global economy. So, I mean, we'll see. Sorry, I got a little off track there.
No, it's all good stuff. All good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit and talk about when you branched out to run your own shop, and why, when and why.
Well, I had worked for another person that did my same job that basically was a Xerox agent owner just like me. And I worked for him for several years. And I learned so much. I learned basically how I would never want to run a business. And I really I struggle. I think I'm the kind of person that is very independent, and I strongly believe the things that I believe, and I struggle to like kind of fall into line with what other people are doing. And I go, well, wouldn't it be better if we do this? And they go, no. And I'm like, no, I think it would be better. So it was difficult for me to watch someone else kind of like make a bunch of mistakes in their business when it seems so easy from the outside to see. And so when I had the opportunity in 2009 to buy my own Xerox agency in Flagstaff, and like I said, we were just in Flagstaff, like, and Flagstaff was small back then. It's not now. I don't know if you've driven through Flagstaff lately, but they have absolutely grown leaps and bounds. I mean, when I was a little kid there, they had a law that there was no big box store allowed. So Flagstaff was very small. And then that kind of older generation of people went out, and the new mayor came in and they changed the rules. And then Flagstaff got its first Walmart. And then ever since then, it's just completely blown up. And when I took over that little Flagstaff agency, it was very scary because I went from being a employee on commission, working for someone else where I had a salary and a commission, to you're not going to make any money unless you go out and sell a copier today. And there is nothing more motivating than starvation and fear. So I had to, and I didn't have a bunch of money, so I had to finance my business, and I had a business loan that I had to pay every single month. And I knew like I had to pay the rent, I had to pay the building loan, I had to pay all these bills. And I'm like, I'm going to go out and sell, 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 sell. And I was 100% fear driven because I was so afraid of failure. I was terrified to fail. And so I would get up in the morning and probably work from like 7 a.m. until 10 or 11 p.m. every single night for probably the first 3 years. And only then did I kind of like slow down and go, okay, I can't keep doing this. And so I started hiring people and outsourcing things. And at the very beginning, I was so small, I didn't really have the budget for employees. I didn't have really even the wherewithal to be like, who do I need to do what? And so it was a very kind of scary process where I'm like, okay, I'm going to hire my first employee, and then hire my second employee. And then I was very into like micromanaging everybody. Like, I need you to do it exactly how I do it. And that is just a terrible way to run a business. And so it was a real learning process for me to learn how to hire the right people so you can trust them to do a good job on your behalf, and not necessarily do it exactly how you're going to do it. Maybe they'll do it a better way. I'm not the best person at everything, even though I might think I am.
Right.
So
looking back at those first 3 years where you were just grinding, what would you do differently now, knowing what you know now?
I think I definitely would have tried to spread out the sales a little bit. I just went nuts. I sold more Xerox machines, and like I think I was number one in the country for Xerox Corporation for like all 3 of those years, where I was literally selling like $5 million in Xerox machines a year myself, which is insane. But I was driving everywhere. I was calling everyone. I was working just nonstop. And just basically not breathing, not living my life at all. And I think that made me really learn that there are more important things than just making a big paycheck and making your business successful. And it's actually taken me most of my life to learn to kind of balance and just not work as much. And now I'm much more into, I want to limit my work time, enjoy time with my children, enjoy time on vacation, enjoy places like Scotland and Hadrian's Wall, and do that stuff like you're going to do. You're going to love it. It's amazing there. But it is definitely a learning process. And I feel like you have to kind of go through it to go, okay, well, I can actually do a better job if I don't try to do all the jobs. And you can go find the good people that can do a good job doing those other things, so you can just focus on what you're good at. And I was doing a bad job running the business because I was so busy out selling the copiers and calling the customers and dealing with the service problems and dealing with all the issues that I wasn't running the business. The business
working in the business.
Yeah, the business was just drifting, and we were selling, but that was it. And I wasn't building like processes in place, like how to hire people and how to train people. And, those get important when you start to get to like 20 or 30 employees. And now, just to fast forward it's been 20 years now I've been selling Xerox machines, that now I do business in 3 states. There are no other Xerox agents in all of Arizona. I took over every single one of them. I bought or Xerox can choose to terminate your contract if you're a Xerox agent, and some other people got terminated and I took over their business, and some I just purchased their business outright. And so I think I took over 9 other agents in Arizona when it was all said and done. And so now I'm the only Xerox agent in all of Arizona, and I have half of Nevada and half of Utah, the southern half of Utah,
Wow.
which I think is the best part of Utah, the southern half. Even though I know you lived in Salt Lake, but the southern half of Utah is so gorgeous.
It is. It's beautiful. I love going there to play for sure.
Yeah, up there in Arches and like all those,
Yep.
all the
Bryce,
all the rocks.
Zion.
Yeah, it's freaking gorgeous.
Canyon. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Yes.
But-
Okay. So
I've grown quite a bit.
Congratulations on being the Southwest Xerox rep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, upcoming goals, bigger goals for the company moving forward at this point?
Well, yeah. So in that process, I should have finished my thought, is that I was so busy selling, I wasn't running the business. But what I found out is what I actually really like to do is grow the business. To me, that's more fun than, and I shouldn't even say that, because I really do love to go out to businesses and I love to tour the company and go, okay, what do you guys do? What are your processes? Show me how you run your business now, and really help them find out how they can use technology to make their business more efficient. That is a really fun thing to do, to help people problem solve like that. But I found that what I really, really love is growing my business. And I'm now up to, I think 20 current employees, but I have 3 new sales reps in the pipeline. And that is actually one of the biggest things we've struggled with. Is when I first started, we had no problem hiring salespeople. Kids right out of college wanted to immediately go sell Xerox machines because they knew it was going to lead to a better job. Now kids come out of college and they're like, you want me to cold call? You want me to do that? And I need to make $80,000 a year. And I'm like, you've never had a job before in your life. What are you talking about? And so we've definitely struggled in staying fully staffed on salespeople, because we could really use probably double the amount of employees we have, especially with sales reps. But, I think we're just at 20 employees now. And for how few employees we have, we sell quite a bit of Xerox machines, I think. And it's tricky because, like I told you before, I was selling $5 million in Xerox machines myself. But guess what? Prices have come way down. When I used to sell $20 million of Xerox machines back then, that same amount of machines now I could sell for $2 million. Wow. So even though now we're still selling around $5 million in Xerox machines, that represents quite a lot more.
Has the pay structure changed a little bit in the sense of maintenance costs and stuff? Is it more subscription model now?
Yes.
So the upfront cost is less, but there is more maintenance.
Yeah. So the way we have moved to is basically on a cost per copy system, where it used to be you'd have to buy toner, you'd have to buy the supplies, you'd pay for service. This way now we just basically pay a penny a page for black and white and a couple cents for color. And that includes all your toner, all your supplies, all your service. And it's just basically a usage base. So if you don't print, you don't pay. And then if you print, you pay. And that allows for people, I think, to be a lot more, it's more cost effective. So people don't have to come out with, it used to be when I first started selling, I remember when Scandi email first came out and we first started selling digital copiers, because before the analog was sorting bins, and now I'm dating myself now. Say that word. But now they're all digital and everything. It's basically just another computer on your network, just like all the other computers. And so you really have to be IT and network savvy, because it used to be there was like a procurement guy that bought copiers, and he was the same guy that was buying the pencils and the same guy that was buying the brooms. And now it's more the IT people, the network engineers, the people that are on the back end are the ones buying the Xerox machines, because they're the ones that have to keep it on the network, and they're the ones that have to load the print drivers, and they're the ones that have to set up the scanning. And so it's more turned into a tech job than just a sales job.
Right.
Where you really, you walk in and people go, well, we use this, and this software. Is it going to work with that? So you have to have a lot more technical knowledge than you used to. When it used to just be like, in fact, when I first started selling Xerox machines, the guy who kind of trained me, he had sold the original Xerox machine that they came out with, like the 914. And he said it didn't have a power switch. So they would come with a fire extinguisher inside. And he said, if you walked into your customer's office and it smells like toasted marshmallows, he goes, you better turn around and come back the other day, because that thing caught on fire. And they had to put it out with the thing. You had to unplug it because it just didn't even have a power switch. You'd turn it on with a crank and you get the crank going and it would just start making copies. And if something bad happened, too late, it's on fire.
Wow. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of
Good
people
school
now,
story.
especially, they don't realize how long Xerox has been doing this. I mean, Xerox has been selling copiers since like 1930. And I don't know if you ever watched the show Mad Men, but in the very first episode of the show Mad Men, all the office secretaries are super excited because the Xerox man's coming today to deliver their new copier. And the guy comes in and he's all dressed up in a suit and delivering this big giant machine, you know. And I think people don't really realize how pervasive Xerox as a corporation is in America. I mean, Xerox invented the mouse. Xerox invented the graphical user interface. Xerox was like working hand in hand with Apple, like in the 80s, coming up with all the technology. And so it's kind of fun to like be a part of that history and kind of watch an American company that's been around for 80 years, you know,
Sure.
move forward into this new technological age.
Sure. And it's kind of like Google, right? When you want to search the web, you say Google, or
Yeah.
if you want to adhesive bandage over a wound, you say give me a Band-Aid. If you want to
Yeah.
make a copy, right, you say
You
Xerox it.
Xerox it. Yeah. And Xerox actually fights that. Xerox tries to move away from that because they want to hang on to their trademark. And if people start using it like a verb, then you can't.
Oh,
So
they
Xerox
can't
actually
defend
tries
it.
to fight that. Yeah. I know. And
Funny.
people always go, oh, well, don't people just scan now? Like nobody makes any copies. Well, Xerox coined the term paperless office in 1978, and printing has
Okay.
like quadrupled since then. I mean, people print billions and billions and billions of pages. And then the only thing that I think has really kind of given us a hiccup was COVID, because it used to be, and especially like in real estate, all the real estate agents would come and work in one office and they all shared this one big copy machine and everybody put in a code so they could bill back for their copies or whatever. Well, now everybody just works from home. So
Right.
when was the last time you went to your real estate office to do anything? You don't need to, because you have your computer, your laptop, your phone, your everything you need here in your office, you know. No
Yep.
reason to go to your office, right?
Yep.
Unless
Yep.
you can have a meeting, but then you could do that on Zoom as well. So it's like I think people just don't need to see each other anymore. We're just all gonna work at home alone in our offices.
And buy clothes
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
So back to sort of like 2025 goals for some more documents.
I think to mostly higher up. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of customers, and we need sales reps to handle them. We have really, like I said, struggled getting people to come do sales. I think, especially new graduates. I don't, I don't know. I don't want to like say, oh, you know, ever since millennials or whatever, but it seems like kids coming out of college now have no interest in being in sales. And the people that we are hiring are like, oh, well, how can I market this on LinkedIn? How can I market this on Facebook? I'm like, people that are buying
Right.
copiers aren't looking for them on Facebook. Like, why are you trying to do that? And they're like, well, everybody's on Instagram. We have to get our thing on Instagram. Like, why don't we have a business Instagram page? And I'm like, is that really what we need to do to sell copiers now? And so it's just a whole different challenge, I think, because I think our challenge before was more, you know, how can we get the employees to stay? Because as soon as you would get Xerox sales on your resume, our employees would get recruited. And so what we used to do is we would give them like a sign-on bonus that if they would stay for 3 years. And now it's like we just need to get them to come try it for a day, you know. And so that's really been a challenge, is trying to stay fully staffed with salespeople. So I would say probably our 2025 goal, because we grew quite a bit last year. And so I think we need to stabilize in the geography that we have, because we cover a huge amount of territory, is to just get enough salespeople out taking care of the customers to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can, because we don't want to grow too much to where we can't take care of everybody the way we want to take care of them. You know?
Sure. Okay. And it is a sort of a carrot for new salespeople. Do you still provide like Xerox famous
Oh, absolutely.
sales training?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They still go through the whole sales training where they have to, you know, memorize their demo and learn how to do how to do the speeds and feeds of the copier and demonstrate the machine. And you know, it's not easy, but it's very educational. And I think it's like taking a speech class in college. Like, you hate it every time you do it, but once you're done, you're amazing at it and you're so proud you did it and you're glad.
Okay.
It's definitely an excellent training program, and it would definitely be a good thing to add to your resume, even in this day and age when I think people go, Xerox, what's a Xerox machine? You know, and I go,
Right.
who are you?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, yeah, it sounds like they're all coming out of school with training on the new digital world and not some of the core fundamentals of
Yeah.
person-person
It's hard to
interaction.
get young people to pick up a phone these days. it's hard to get people to just call. They're like, well, can't I just text them? I'm like, no, that's unprofessional. Pick up the phone. Like, what do you mean text them? And
Right.
maybe a little bit of me is that I'm just a little old school, but I am the kind of person, it is just so much easier to pick up the phone and hash out over a phone call than send 35 emails back and forth. And I don't know if it's just because that's how I did it before, but I feel like I just really like a personal touch. I would rather speak to someone, see their face, shake their hand, get a feel of the person, because you don't want to do business with people you don't like. You're going to call your copier guy if you don't like him. You're not going to call him. You're going to call somebody else.
Right.
It's the same with real estate. Nobody wants to work with a realtor they don't like.
Well, there's that lack of social skills aspect to some of the younger generation as well, which if you have that emotional intelligence and those people skills, I think the world is your oyster. You can really shine.
I totally agree. And I feel like the skills you build in sales, you can apply to anything. Because really, all sales is like, we're not selling Xerox machines. We're selling ourselves. And then if you like us, then maybe you'll buy a Xerox machine from us. You
Right.
don't buy things because you're in love with the product, unless it's some crazy technological thing. Like maybe like when Teslas first came out and people go, whoa, those are cool. Like they can drive themselves, and maybe that's a bad example now because Elon's kind of tarnished his reputation.
Fallen out of favor.
But yeah, but when a new technology comes out, like when the first iPhone came out, that's probably a better example. Like when iPhones first came out, I mean, people would stand in line outside the Apple store to be the first one to get that iPhone. You didn't care who was selling the iPhone. You just wanted the iPhone.
Sure.
Where I think copiers, because they're not this neat, cool, slick thing, it really doesn't matter. Like all the copiers are going to make a copy. They're all going to scan. They're all going to print. They're all going to do what they're supposed to do. But it's who do you have to call? Who do you have to deal with? Who's going to help?
Yeah, they're complicated.
On your bill. Yeah, you want to work with somebody that you like, because if you have an issue, you want to be able to call on them and rely on them and enjoy your time with them.
Yep. And know they're competent.
Right, exactly. Like you don't want somebody who just, rolled out of bed that morning and said, oh, I'm going to go sell copiers today. I don't know anything about it. You want,
or that they're going to transfer you to some call center somewhere else that the person doesn't even know, has never even touched the machine themselves.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk to a call center. I know I don't. I actually choose the businesses that I do business with by who are my customers. Like I recently, speaking of real estate investing, I inherited a couple of houses down in Arcadia Light, and one of them is an original 1951 pink tile, not anywhere where anybody want to live. So I need to remodel it. And I'm like, well, I need an architect to help me figure out the design. And I first went right to my customer list and said, okay, who are my architect customers? So I can call one of them to do business with. And I actually got really lucky. And one of my customers is actually Douglas Fredrickson, who designed the Buttes in Tempe.
Okay.
And so that was kind of neat because I used to work there when I was in high school. I used to work out at the pool there. And so when I saw that on his website, I was like, oh, he's our customer? Wow, that's really cool. And I called him up and I was like, hey, I love your place. I used to love to go to brunch there. Like you did a great job. And he actually won awards for it. And yeah, he might be a good one for your podcast too. He's a really interesting guy. He's been doing architecture in Phoenix and he has a ton of cool projects under his belt. But that's kind of the way I do business. To me, if somebody's going to do business with me, I'm going to do business with them. My accountant's my customer, my doctor's my customer. I try to just do business with people who do business with me because I like that local touch. I like being the local company. I like Phoenix feeling like a small town place. Even though I don't even know, what are we up to? 6 million people? I think the Phoenix metropolitan area is up to like 6.5 million or something.
That sounds right. All right. So I have a reflection question for you. Here's we wrap things up. What do you wish you would have known sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So that's actually a topic that's super dear to my heart because I feel like everyone needs to figure out how to become financially independent. I really wish that I would have, well, I kind of did. I really wish I probably would have spent more time learning how to manage my own personal finances before I learned the hard way. I did the whole get a credit card. My first day of college, they had a American Express booth at the front door. They were giving out M&Ms if you signed up for an American Express card. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm getting those free M&Ms. So I get an American Express card with an $800 limit. I've had that thing maxed out by the end of the weekend. You know what I mean? Like you just don't, They don't teach you that stuff in school. And so I think it's super important to become financially literate for your own self, because you don't want to enter into these predatory loans. You don't want to get a car loan with 10% interest, all things that I've done when I was a kid,
Right.
And I think that if I would have known when I was 18 what I know now, I would be retired by now.
Sure. But kind of like we said earlier on, like those 3 years of grinding, that's something maybe rite of passage, something you had to do to figure stuff out.
Yeah, actually, I have a funny story about that. My very first year, because I moved from Phoenix to Flagstaff to do that, and my very first year, I went crazy. I sold it. I made the most money I'd ever made that year. More than $500,000 I made my very first year. And
Nice.
I went to my accountant at the end of the year to do my taxes, and he was like looking at it, and he goes, "Do you have kids?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Do you have a house?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Do you have an office?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "You have no write-offs?" I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think about write-offs. He's like, "Oh," he was just like, "Oh, you're just insane." And I wrote an insanely huge check to the IRS. And
Yep.
that is just not what you want to do. And it
Could have bought a couple houses with that check.
I should have done something. But that later that year I remedied that. And so now I'm good at like not, you don't want to make too much money without knowing how to offset it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, everybody should pay their share. I believe that everybody should pay their share, but definitely don't want to pay more than my share.
There's a lot of tipping to the government.
Yeah. And especially when you see how they spend the money, you're like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. I'd rather have Arizona have better teachers. Like, why don't we invest in our local education system so that I can have better employees when they graduate? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
to me, it makes no sense to not invest in education, because educated people help everyone. We're going to have a better job pool. We're going to have better products. We're going to have better companies. We're going to have everybody's going to be better to do business with if everybody's educated properly. And so I really don't understand why Arizona doesn't invest more money into our education.
Yes, always education is paramount. It's the foundation for all of it. So yes.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, Tracey, if people would like to connect with you or learn more, what should they do?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find because I have so many names. So Tracey Shaw Frost, I think if you just Google me, my LinkedIn shows up right away. But we have a good webpage. It's azsmartoffice.com. And my email address is on there, and I'm pretty sure anybody can find any of my phone numbers by the number of spam calls that I get in a day. It's pretty easy to find me. It's just Tracey at AC Smart Office.
All right. Well, Tracey Shaw Frost, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. We appreciate you sharing your story, insights into success and copying and scanning and all the Xerox.
I know. Talk about nerdy stuff. I mean, it is pretty nerdy stuff, but it's fun. It's good to be able to help other businesses grow and help other businesses be more cost effective and efficient. And I enjoy that part of it. And so it might be nerdy, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, you're helping other people and other companies succeed. That's super valuable. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.